Hello, today we're going to talk about connecting Salesforce to Lob to trigger automated mail natively within the Lob platform. So I'm going to log into Lob, and on the left-hand panel here, I'm going to click on Integrations. So this is where I can see my natively connected integrations to Lob. As you can see, Salesforce is already connected. If it wasn't, it would be down here under All Available Integrations. But the way to connect it would be, I'll click on Zoho here as an example. But I would click on Salesforce. That would allow me to authenticate into Salesforce from within Lob. And once I've done that, my Salesforce account will now be connected to Lob, and that will give Lob access to the various tables within Salesforce, which will enable me to trigger mail automatically when changes get made from within Salesforce. So once we've connected Salesforce to Lob, the next step will be creating a campaign. I'm going to select Automated Campaign, because this will be a campaign that's automated based off of triggers from within Salesforce. And then the first step here you'll see is pretty familiar if you've used our campaigns UI before. We'll call this Salesforce Lob Automated Campaign. I'm going to go through here and just set some basic configs. So marketing mail, select my format, we'll do a 6x9 postcard, select my mail class. But once I've done that, step 2 here, where I add my audience, is where you'll see the first difference. So now, rather than uploading an audience list, I'm instead going to select under integration type Salesforce. Then I'm going to select the specific table from within Salesforce that I want to action off of to trigger mail. So in this case, we'll just do the lead table. And then finally, once I've selected that table, I'll select the actual action that triggers the mail piece. So it can be when a new row is added to that table. So if you're adding a user to a prospect list, for example, a row is updated within that table. So perhaps somebody in this table changes their mailing address and you want to trigger a welcome mail to their new address, something like that. Or a date-based trigger. So triggering based on a time frame within an event or somebody's birthday, things like that. I'll do in this case when a new row is added. I'll select the delay between that event and printing. So that gives me time to review all the mail pieces that are sent to go out automatically. And then of course I can frequency cap this so that we don't send a mail piece to the same person more than one time. But now, once this is set up, when a new lead is added to this table in Salesforce, it will automatically trigger a mail piece to be sent. So once this is turned on, you can basically set it and forget it. So now we're going to map the address variables back to the corresponding fields within Salesforce. So you can see Lob requires somebody's name. We're going to pull the first and last name attributes, street, city. So one thing that's important to note is that if you want to automate mail out of Salesforce, you want to make sure that you are actually storing those mailing addresses within Salesforce already, because those are going to get passed to Lob at the time a mail piece is created. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and choose our creative. So in this case, we'll use HTML templates. I have a couple Salesforce examples here. And in the same way that you dynamically populate variables in HTML when you're either using our API or you're using an audience list CSV, you can also do the same thing with attributes within Salesforce. So in this case, we have an HTML template that has a dynamic variable for first name. This can be mapped all the way back to the corresponding field within Salesforce. So when Larry Lobster gets added to the table in Salesforce, that's going to trigger a mail piece to him, but it's also going to take that first name attribute from within Salesforce and pass it into the creative itself so that the creative says, Larry, thank you so much for taking your time to learn about this integration. So now we've selected our creative. All we have to do now is review the campaign and make sure that everything that we set up looks right. And if it does, we can go ahead and place our order. I'll click to view that campaign. So we now have an automated campaign running. So now, whenever a new lead gets added to that lead table, that will automatically get passed to Lob. and then that will show up here under recipient. Um, you can see here that data syncs every 30 minutes or so. I think sometimes a little faster, but the idea is that a new lead will get added in Salesforce within that 30-minute window. That will then get passed to Lob, and then you'll be able to track that mail piece all the way from the moment it gets sent to the moment it gets delivered. So that's how easy it is to set up an automated campaign with Lob. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your Lob point of contact, and we'd love to help you get started. Thank you.